TitleMatchNetwork.com.
How did you find out about yourself?
Well, I called,
Right.
I got the call from Johnny Ace on the way to the building.
But you were retained, right?
No. And that was another thing. Diana Myers, who is a lawyer for WCW, pretty much right after I got thrown off the cage, triple cage with match with Jarrett and Paige and Arquette. I had a match with Mike Awesome that night. And then the whole, and that was a weird thing, man. 'Cause I felt with the triple cage, the fans were going to expect something weird, or probably, just basically a big bump or something. So when I pitched that angle to Eric made it happen. And then later I found out that it was the building where Owen died. I said, maybe we shouldn't do it. And, Eric said, yeah, whatever, you have good karma, nothing's going to happen. I'm like, no, it's not about that. It's about disrespect and stuff. It's like, at least ask Brett if it's all right. So Eric promised me he would ask Brett if it's all right for me to take the bump in that building. So I had a decent match with Mike Awesome. Crowd was really into it. Then I get thrown off the cage at the end of the night. Right after that, I had to renegotiate my contract. I went to Bischoff. He wasn't dealing with it anymore. Now, this Diana Myers, who's not a wrestling fan, was a lawyer and hated all the wrestlers because we were all making more money than her, and she was a lawyer. She hated us, hated wrestling. And she was right under Brad Siegel, who's another scumbag. So I went to Bischoff. I'm like, I know you're not dealing with this anymore, but if you were me, how much would you ask for? He goes, if I was still in charge, you'd get $500,000 a year, especially after the match you had tonight and getting thrown off the cage and you work your ass off for the company. You've been here forever. He's like, if they give you anything less than $500,000, they're slapping you in the face. So I went in, met with Diana Myers, who's a cunt, and I told him I was making $270 a year at this point. I think I asked for $355, $650, based on what Eric told me.
Right.
So, average $500 over 3 years. She said, I'm not even going to tell you what we're going to offer you because it would be insulting. I said, you telling me that is insulting.
Right.
I was like, don't tell me anything then. So they came back with a horrible plan, but the way they had it was, if this is the contract, they had a graph of how many dates you would work. These are how many years, first year, second year, third year. So up here, if you only work little dates in the first year, you hardly make anything. But this number down here is ridiculous, like $750,000. If after 3 years you work 200 and something dates, you're going to make a ridiculous money.
Right.
That's the contract they give me. Knowing that these motherfuckers are cutting out all house shows and combining Nitro, and knowing it and asking me to sign this contract, it was shady business. It was a scumbag move. And it's Diana Myers, who's a cunt, and Brad Siegel, who I think was working for Vince McMahon from inside to f up that company. Because Bischoff's group, a year before it sold for $4 million, whatever Vince bought it for,
offered you.
Yeah, $250 million, and WCW said no, it's not enough. A year later, Brad accepts $4 million. That's fucking, in my mind, that's fucking internal sabotage. And man, I heard a long time, once I got there and I heard Brad Siegel, someone told me that Brad Siegel in the 80s worked for Vince McMahon on the pay-per-view end of things. And that people feel that he had a relationship with Vince all the way through, and that he internally sabotaged that company. And man, if you look at the facts, man, I would not doubt it. Okay, so I want to give the history of Diana Myers. So I get the day of the show, the final show.
Right.
I look for Diana Myers. I want to know now. I got released, the Thursday before the final show. I got released from my contract, which was running out in a month anyway. But they gave me my 30-day notice 30 days before the end of my contract. So I look for her. I finally find this bitch. I'm like, Diana, I need to know, was it Vince McMahon's idea to release me? Was it your idea? Was it Johnny Ace? Who was it? Well, things got very tricky at the end and we're not sure. And no. Someone had to make the decision to call me and say, and it's important for me to know if it was Johnny Ace, if it was Eric Bischoff, if it was Brad Siegel, if it was Vince McMahon, if it was Jim, who f***ing released me? Well, it's very confusing. I was like, no, someone had to f***ing say, fire him.
Right.
She goes, please don't hate me. I'm like, ship has sailed on that, sweetheart. I already fucking hate you. And I just walked away from her.
Huh.
She decided to do it. And I don't know what that was about. I'll never know, but that's the problem. And when you let non-wrestling people and people like lawyers and Brad Siegel make executive decisions, and you cut out people like Bischoff, who maybe at the beginning wasn't a big fan, but became a big fan. But I read his book. It seems like he was a fan. But people who love this business, and you push people that love the business, and you use people that love the business is successful. You bring in writers like Vince McMahon brings in, you bring in lawyers like cunt Diana Myers and fucking people like Brad Siegel, and businesses fucking fall apart. And Vince fucking will never learn it, man. He brings in shitty writers who don't like wrestling. He brings in fucking people like Brock Lesnar who fucking hates wrestling, pushes them, and then they go and work for the competition and beat them. And fucking thank God UFC's beating Vince in pay-per-views. Thank God. I hope Vince finally will fucking learn, but he won't.
How did you hear that WCW was sold? And what are your memories of the final show?
It's hard to be quick on that one. All right. Leading up to it, I was in the loop with Bischoff. I heard his group was definitely buying it. It was talking moving us out to Arizona, to Vegas.
Right.
Do all our TV tapings there. I had already looked at houseboats to buy on Lake Mead.
Wow.
On the way they were having me come down 4 days early. I was going down on Thursday to do the final show. Just so happens my contract, if they did not give me 30 days notice by that Sunday, they automatically had to pay me for 3 more months. My contract was coming up anyway.
Right.
So I think with everything going on, no matter what happens, I'm going to get paid for the next 3 months when we're probably going to all be off. Because they talked about having time off in between. This was our season finale. Literally get to the airport, I see Ernest Miller. Ernest says, the deal fell through. Ernest says, the deal fell through. Bischoff ain't getting it. I don't believe it. I'm like, yeah, whatever. I was like, well, regardless, we'll still, we're not going out of business.
Right.
It's the last thing on my mind. Literally, from the car to the ticket window, I get the call from Johnny Ace. We're not renewing your contract. So, it's a bummer, but what the hell's going on? On the plane, I find out that Vince might have bought us. So I'm like, holy shit. So as soon as I land in Panama City, call up Jim Ross. I'm like, Jim, I know it's been a while, but if that offer's still on the table that you gave me, a while ago, I want in.
Right.
I'm like, they just gave me my 30-day notice. So now we don't know about fucking if the whole Vince thing is real or not, man. None of us, no one's for sure, man. It's really up in the air. The most surreal thing to me, this is a war. We hate WCW and WWF. They hate us. And I've been backstage 100 times now, WCW, thousands of times, whatever. And you have every door has a sign, wardrobe or, females or whatever. When I was back there was a WCW sign on one of the doors that said WWF. I was like, oh. It was one of the most surreal things I've ever seen in my entire life. It was just so unfucking real.
Huh.
But we still didn't know, man. And then it was weird because, we all meet in a room. Of course, they show up a little late. Well, Shane McMahon walks in. It was fucking hard. It was absolutely the most, it felt like a dream more than anything. One thing Shane said that I think was untrue, he said every single person in this room will have an opportunity if they want one. I don't think that ever came true. I think there were people that wanted it and never got it. It was weird. They had their own security guards. They were in a room that very easily had access to leave, which I thought was kind of weird. I was supposed to be on the show. That's part of the reason why Johnny Ace called me. He said, even though we're letting you go, do you still want to be on that final show? I'm like, fuck yeah. I spent 6 years in this company, man. I want to be part of the show. I was going to be in an 8-man tag or something. Animal was going to be in it. I know that. I think M.I. Smooth was going to be in it. Ernest, I forget exactly what the match was going to be, but my match got yanked. I remember being in the gorilla position, and as Vince is cutting his promo and saying, yeah, I'll sign the papers when Ted Turner shows up at WrestleMania and kisses my ass, I looked at Terry Taylor and he went, Terry had no idea.
Right.
None of us knew if that was a shoot or not. And I'm thinking that's why they're located where they are. They're going to fucking cut this promo and get the fuck out of here. And this is a swerve and they're going to fuck us all over. They're fucking Ted Turner, they're fucking WCW. And none of us knew what was real and what wasn't at that point. That's why it was such a powerful angle. For Vince to drop the ball on that, we could sit here for fucking 10 hours saying how it could have been done better, how his fucking ego got in the way, how he fucked up the biggest angle in wrestling history.
Right.
I also happened to be in a fucking I got lucky, man. I got hungry later in the day. I was in the catering when there was somewhat of a symbol. It was supposed to be production people only, and I didn't see that sign on the door. The catering hall was huge, so I'm sitting there eating, not realizing. And there was the symbolic handing over. David Crockett, got up and said, everyone work your ass off tonight. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen, but work your ass off. And I want to, officially announce that Vince McMahon is taking this company. And Shane got up, and man, there was almost not a dry eye in the fucking catering place. And to look around and realize that Vince was pretty much putting all these people out of work. I was like, that's when I started realizing Shane can say whatever he wants. Anyone who wants an opportunity, it's going to be good for. They put a lot of people out of business that day. They put a lot of people on the street that day, as far as they had a job and now they don't.
Watch thousands of exclusive shoot interviews right now on TitleMatchNetwork.com.